So now is the time that everyone has been waiting for. We get to hear our keynote speaker, Radhi Spear. Radhi is a mother. She's a wife. She's an engineer. In August 2022, she was elected first vice president of Toastmasters International. And she's been a Toastmaster for more than 2 decades. So that's pretty inspiring. And Radhi's a familiar face to many of us here because she's a distinguished past district director of District 46, which now includes our own District 119 plus District 83. So I remember seeing Radhi at many spring conferences in the past. Outside of Toastmasters, Radhi's worked in the telecommunications industry for over 30 years. She's an electrical engineer working for AT&T in Middletown, New Jersey. So now Radhi is here. She's going to inspire all of us with her speech entitled Reach and Achieve. So let's give a big round of applause for Radhi Spear.
Fellow Toastmasters, what would you do if you were in my shoes? I was 15 years old and I was living in Bangalore, India, which is the tropics. The temperature every day is 70 to 80 degrees, sunny skies, and a brand new swimming pool open near my house. And it was a true Olympic-sized pool. It has 8 lanes, 50 meters long, and a 10-meter board. I was so excited. I signed up. I used to go swimming every morning from 6 to 9 before school. And in India, they had a ladies' batch from 4:30 to 5:30. So I'd come back from school and I'd go swimming again. I enjoyed it so much, they announced a competition. I immediately signed up for the 100 meters freestyle and the 100 meters backstroke. Now, I used to practice twice a day, but as the competition date approached, I started getting anxious, started getting nervous. I skipped here and there, practice. And then finally, on the day of the contest, my mom was very excited. Radhi, you're all set, you're going. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going. So I go to the swimming pool and all the girls are there. I thought this was the logical thing to do. I'm like, what is your timing? What's your timing? I checked and I realized they're all faster than me. What's the point? So I was there with my friend Maya, and this is a city like New York City, right? Bangalore City. I said, you know what? Let's just go to the bakery. So we strolled over to the bakery. I like apple cake. She likes peanut brittle. We bought all our snacks, munching on it, strolled home. My mom opened the door, all excited. How did you do? How did you do? No point. I didn't participate. They're all faster than me. What? You didn't take part? You just gave up? You think this is what sportsmanship is about? This is what I taught you? You just gave up after all this practice? And I'm like, okay, stop. I just didn't want her to say anymore. So I raced back to the swimming pool. They were announcing last call for 400 meters freestyle final. I had never swum 400 meters in my life. I ran there, gave my name. And they're like, hurry up. And you know, this is India in the late 70s. I had my swimsuit underneath, but you know, there's no time. So I just, stripped off my clothes to get on the starting block, and the audience is like all shocked. But anyway, I just remember my mother's words. I dived in and I'm swimming as fast as I could. And the entire time I could hear my mother's words in my ears, and I could feel that apple cake and peanut brittle in my throat. But I somehow finished and I came third. Oh, yes. I was strutting home. I'm like, all right, so now, I'm all good with my mom. But I tell you, swimming is just like Toastmasters. Because when you first get in that water, it's very scary. It's like being in a mini ocean. It's hard to breathe. You have to learn to float. You have to get a good stroke. It's like in your first Toastmasters meeting. Suddenly they call you from the audience to come up and do table topics. You can't breathe. Your legs are shaking. It takes time. But over time, you get better and you learn. But Toastmasters is even better than swimming. The swimming you only need in the water. Toastmasters you can use anywhere, right? So How did I get into Toastmasters? Let me ask this question. Have you ever felt out of place, picked on, wished you had the confidence to respond? Oh, some of us. You see, I grew up in Africa, in Lagos, Nigeria. I went there when I was 3 years old. I had a wonderful childhood. Don't get me wrong. But in school, I was a very shy, quiet child. And my teacher was this tall, big man, like a heavyset Denzel Washington. And he wanted all the children to stand up and answer the questions. And I was so shy, I would just whisper, and he would say, "Speak up." I would just tremble and whisper even more. So then, when I was about 12 or 13, we moved back to India. And because I'd grown up in Africa, I had the accent, I had the local clothes, so I kind of stood out. So my parents, to help me out, put me in a Catholic school. So I wore uniform, even though I'm a Hindu, went to Catholic school. And I looked like everyone else, but the minute I opened my mouth, I sounded different. So I tried very hard overnight to acquire a proper Indian accent. And I even now remember you have to take those Indian languages. So I remember I'd taken Hindi and Sanskrit. And the teacher would say, "Okay, children, no laughing, okay? No laughing. All right, child, go ahead, read." So I'd be reading with my best accent, and she'd be like, "Okay, no laughing now. Continue, child. Okay." So I survived school. Then I went to college in India, came to the US for my master's in electrical engineering. Do you know, I was the only girl in all my engineering classes here at New Jersey Institute of Technology. So I would try and sit in the last row, somehow blend in. That's what I thought. But the professors eventually would spot me. "Ah, you there. Yeah. Could you come up and answer this? Could you write on the board? Could you?" Every single one of them, without exception. And I still hadn't found Toastmasters to have the better confidence to respond to that. So got through college, and being a foreign student, I had assistantship. And believe me, when you're a foreign student, you will do anything. So I had managed to get an assistantship as the graduate coordinator of the counseling center. So they loved me there. I was having a good time. My professor is like, "What? What is this counseling center?" "To do research work for me in the engineering department." I've never heard of engineering students doing counseling. I said, "It doesn't matter. They're paying my fees, right?" They said they're so happy with me, I could do my PhD even. He's like, "No, give that up. Come work for me." So I was doing research for him. Not even 2 months, he calls me into his office and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I lost my funding." What? You see, he saw my eyes. He's like, "Can you teach?" "Sure." When you're a desperate foreign student, you can do anything. "Yeah, sure, I can teach." So next thing you know, I'm teaching electromechanical energy conversion, EE 331, to juniors. I would spend my whole day studying just so I could teach this class. And I managed. And the reason why I'm telling you all this is that I taught class, I graduated, I got my visa changed to a work permit. I was working in New York at 9X. Everything was going great. My parents came to visit. It was my dad's milestone birthday, and one of my sisters said, "You know what? Let's have a birthday for my dad. They're all here, the kids. Let's do it." And I'm like, "Yes, good idea." I found out the good restaurant. I got the menu. I got the visitors, guest list. I'm getting everything organized. And during that, one sister says, "Oh, and by the way, let's give a toast to dad." I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. So I focus on all the logistics. Beautiful September day. All the guests arrive. Food is excellent. Everything is going great. Time for the toast. My older sister speaks, the next sister, and you can guess it comes to me. And I'm like, with the glass in my hand, all shaking. "To the best dad." That's it. One line I got out. And I'm thinking, I was 24. I taught a class. I stood in front of 30 people. I taught an engineering class. And now I cannot even say a sentence for my dad for his birthday. It was horrible. And my sisters who are in India belong to a Toastmasters club. And the thing is, They had no concept of an area, division, district, nothing. There were 7 clubs between India and Sri Lanka. And they're like, you better join Toastmasters. You need Toastmasters. And fortunately for me, uh, Nick LeBeau and Mark Laverne came to AT&T and they started a club. And that's how I joined Toastmasters. And I tell you, like most people say, it's the best kept secret. I wish I found it sooner because I love to belong to an organization like Toastmasters that welcomes people from different cultures and occupations and brings us all closer together with our common goal of personal growth. You know, Dr. Smedley, when he came up with this concept of Toastmasters, he was absolutely brilliant because every Toastmaster has a home. Their home is their club. If their club provides a supportive and nurturing environment, that member does well. So all it boils down to is club excellence. If you have a good club, you will do well. You know, that's the key. And how do we measure if we are providing a supportive and nurturing environment? The Distinguished Club Program. So when you hear district leaders, club leaders all talking about the DCP, all we're trying to do is provide a supportive and nurturing environment to our members. Now, if you think about all the foundation of Toastmasters, I know we're talking about all the leadership and all the benefits, but I would just like to talk about all that we do. So I told you this is our club mission. I know when you go to any district conference, they tell you the mission of the district. But the mission of the club is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And you know, when they say provide you with the supportive and nurturing environment, everybody wants you to do well. Just like right now, all of you want me to do well because you're thinking, I didn't stay here this long to hear her. It better be worth it, right? and then you're all wanting me to succeed, and I want me to succeed, right? We're all on the same side. And the best part is in Toastmasters, this is my favorite quote by our founder, Dr. Smedley, who said, ours is the only organization dedicated to the individual. We work together to bring out the best in each of us, and then we apply these skills to help others. How great is that? We are not concerned about making money. We are only concerned about helping the individual. And we have this huge support system. I don't think people realize. I was really impressed with Nicole. She's only been in the Toastmasters 3 years, and she's figured out so much about Toastmasters. I've met people 20 years in Toastmasters who haven't figured this out. Really impressive. Because most people think this is the org chart, right? Lisa is the center of District 119. She's got Mel on her right hand and Tamara on her other right hand and Jonathan as a finance manager and all these key players, district directors, area directors. But truly, the true org chart of Toastmasters is this. The member is at the top. We do everything for the members. We have this whole support system, right? The club is the key. If the club does well, the member does well. That is the key. And how do we make sure the clubs do well? We have area directors. How do we make sure the areas do well? Division directors. How do we make sure the division does well? We have our district leaders. And then we have a region advisor. Patricia came all the way from Ireland to help us out. I mean, how great is that? And then, you know, close to the bottom is the board of directors. That's where I'm serving. And then we have World Headquarters staff. Do you know World Headquarters is 125 people serving clubs in 144 countries. It's a small, tiny staff. It's just incredible what they achieved. So we are 280,000 plus members currently in 144 countries with 14,700 clubs. We are all one big happy family. So let's just go through all that we learn in Toastmasters just for, I know there are lots of new people here, and I figure if you just explicitly state it, it's clearer because we just go straight away to, oh, all this leadership stuff. So, you know, if you're just a member, if you think about all the skills you learn as a member, right? First, starting with the basics, communication skills. I've learned to stand here in front of you and give a speech. You know, being an engineer, we are not known for our speaking skills. So I've come a long way. Being a minority, a woman, an engineer, I guess best combination, Toastmasters is for me. I've come this far. I still have a ways to go. We all learn time management. I'm sure all of you can relate. Have you been in a meeting at work where the manager just goes on and you're thinking, oh, I wish they joined Toastmasters. They would really get it right now. We learn time management, right? We have better run meetings. We have an agenda, you know exactly when things are going to start, when it's going to end, even for an event like this. You know, Denise did such a fabulous job. And, you know, when it looks so easy and so smooth, it really means there's a lot of hard work that went behind it. And she has a huge team helping her. But we learn that. We learn those skills. We learn presentation skills. Now, I know many people think, you know, why do we need Toastmasters, right? Radhi, you know, nowadays there's YouTube videos, there are books I could read, right? There's videos I could watch, right? I don't need Toastmasters. There's plenty of ways of learning. But the thing is this, the key difference is that you have this large supportive group who want you to succeed. Like Dr. Smedley said, we are all helping each other. You don't get that anywhere else. This huge support system who's there to help you. And we learn enhanced customer communications. Again, Nicole figured that out because when you're speaking with your customers, sometimes they don't even know how to phrase the question. They're asking you something, it's just not really clear. And then you use your table topic skills. They gather all the information, put it in order, you answer them, and they're like, yeah, right, that's what I meant. That's what I meant to ask you or something. So it helps you in your everyday life. The key, again, another speaker mentioned this, listening skills. You need to be able to listen well, right? When you're the evaluator, you're learning to pay attention, to hear what they're saying, their body language, everything. So we're learning listening skills and constructive feedback. Again, one of the speakers, Don, said that because we give evaluation all the time, whether we're giving evaluations to our employees, a year-end evaluation, or you're giving the feedback to your children, to your spouse, right? We learn to give, constructive feedback, and that is key. So there's so many benefits we learn just as a member. Then next step, how about, what does all this result in when you do all this in a club, right? It results in greater self-confidence. I think that's what everyone tells you. It's like a side effect, like, wow, next thing you see a member join, within 6 months, you see the change. Oh, I want to do this. They're willing to volunteer to do many things. And I love to give this story about my self-confidence after joining Toastmasters. I had a dentist appointment and for cleaning, right? So, and I was running late. So I was hurried. I flossed in a hurry and I broke a filling, but it happens. I go to the dentist, he cleans my teeth and he says, the filling you broke, you have to come back to get a new appointment. And by the way, I'm retiring, but a new doctor, Dr. Goldstein, will treat you when you make your new appointment. Oh, okay. So I make the new appointment. I go back. I'm sitting in the chair waiting for Dr. Goldstein, thinking some nice Jewish doctor. And this Indian woman walks in and I'm like, you're Dr. Goldstein? I guess the way she looks at me like, you're Miss Spear? I'm not expecting that. So she treats me, she treats the filling, and then she's looking at my x-rays and she's like, oh, I see a translucency here in the buccal cavity over here. I see this. And all the while I'm thinking as I'm sitting there, Dr. Lansman retired because he's old, not because he's blind, right? He never told me anything. And this lady must be she wants to put a wing on this dental office or something, all this stuff she mentioned. So Toastmasters gave me confidence and I'm like, I would like to have a second opinion and I'd like copies of all these x-rays. And certainly. And I left. And that friend from the swimming pool story, Maya, turns out she's a dentist and she was in New Jersey, but a little bit far. So I call her and I'm like, Maya, can you believe this new dentist? They say I have to get all this work done and I can't believe it. And she's like, oh, Radhi, send me your x-rays. I'll show it to my coworkers. I'll get back to you. So a week later, she calls me and she says, Radhi, you know what? She's right. You need all that. I'm like, what? How can I go back now? I've left saying, I need a second opinion. This is embarrassing. She's like, you know what? If you can come to my office, I will treat you. So I'm like, okay. So she treats me and then she goes on vacation and I'm dentistless. and I get a toothache. But Toastmasters has given me self-confidence. So I call the dentist office and I would like to see Dr. Goldstein. I have a toothache. Oh, no problem. I go back. She treats me. All is well. Now you might be thinking, why are you sharing this embarrassing story with us? Right? Well, the key is this. If I did not have the self-confidence, I would have stayed with her thinking all the time, this is such a ripoff. This lady just wants to make money. She wants to do all this work. But now I know she's good. What she said was right. And it helped, I got my teeth fixed and she's a good dentist. So all good. And the point I'm trying to make is that everything we do in Toastmasters is not to be in Toastmasters. It's to use in everyday life. So all the skills we learn works in your personal life, in your professional life, everywhere. This is a skill you take with you. Even if you change jobs, you have the skill. So now after being a member, let's move on. The next thing, you're a club officer. What do you learn as a club officer, right? Strategic planning. Like I said, how do we know we're fulfilling the club mission? The Distinguished Club Program. So when you're a club officer, you're planning, strategic planning. You want that club to be distinguished. You have improved customer service. Your members are your customers. You're serving them. You want to make sure you're doing everything right as a club officer. There's delegation. You're going to have an open house. It's like even this event here. Denise had so many people helping. So and so is in charge of all this audio video equipment. Somebody else is in charge of the food. You delegates, it's too much to do as one person. It's a team sport. Unlike swimming, you got lots of people helping here, right? And then for people to come, you need marketing, you need public relations. So you're practicing all those skills. We learn by doing in Toastmasters. It's not book learning. It's by doing, it's experience. And then budgeting, not just money, budgeting resources, budgeting time. We want to get things done. And then we learn writing skills. I mean, as a member, you learn how to write a speech, but here as an officer, you communicate with each other. We're learning all these skills. Now, I just came up with these skills based on my experience, but really, if you go on the TI website, there's a lot of resources. Oh, one other thing, the pandemic, the silver lining to the pandemic expanded our skill set. Now we can have meetings online, we can have training online, webinars online, we can have hybrid. So, as Jennifer mentioned, now we learned Zoom, we learned so many things, right? We've expanded. This is really good because this is what you need for work. So now in your job, if I say, oh, I work from home 3 days a week, I go in once, I have an online meeting, we Toastmasters are ahead of the game. We've learned these skills that we can use. And recently, my daughter, during the pandemic, had to go into work because she had a security clearance and she worked in a defense company. She went in every day. Recently, she changed jobs. And so they said, you can work from home. And she had to get on a video call, right? So she comes to me and says, oh, Mom, I have to get on the video call and my room is so messy. My first thought was, clean your room, right? But I'm like, you know what? Use a virtual background. And she says, you know about virtual backgrounds? Right? We have learned skills that we can use in everyday life. This really is amazing that Toastmasters gives you all these opportunities. So now we've learned all these skills, but how about, as I was saying, on the TI website, there's actually a features, benefits, and values chart you can get. So anytime you're having an open house or something, print the chart. It says it better than I did, exactly all the things that you learn as a Toastmaster. It's really very handy to have. So now we are here as a leadership forum to talk about all the leadership opportunities that Toastmasters has to offer. So everybody knows about being in a club and being a club officer, but what are all the other opportunities we have? We start with being an area director, division director, district leader, region advisor, international director, and then members of the executive committee, which is where I am right now. And it's all because of your help and your support that I was able to have these fabulous experiences. Now, the first thing is the area director role. To me, that is the best role because for the average Toastmaster who's sitting in any club, they don't know about the rest of us and the chart that I showed you. For them, when the area director is coming, that means Toastmasters International is coming. Somebody from Toastmasters. That is the face of Toastmasters as far as they're concerned, right? So that is the best job because they look up to you as, oh, Toastmasters, you come from Toastmasters International. Now, many people like to say, when you ask them, hey, can you be a Toastmaster? And people say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have, one excuse is, I want to take part in contests. I can't be an area director. I really like to take part in contests. But do you know that being an area director or any of these other leadership positions, you have so many opportunities to speak. And when you're an area director and you go to all these different clubs, you hear all these different speeches, you're out of your comfort zone, you're learning this new experience. It's great. You actually learn so much just by that. And that is valuable, to improve your speaking skills. The second thing I hear is, takes too much time. I'm sorry, I'm really busy. I don't have time. But luckily now, because of COVID, the silver lining, some meetings are online. You could just go check on the club online. Sometimes they're hybrid. Sometimes you can even deputize someone and say, you know what, that's in Long Island and can't get all the way there, the furthest end. Like, I could ask James, hey, can you tell me how your club is doing? I'm sorry, I can't come all the way there. A tip of Long Island takes too long to drive there. You could get and get all the information because your job is to make sure the club is successful, which comes to the third reason. You know what? All these clubs are struggling. I don't want to be the area director. How am I going to get them to be successful or distinguished? But think about this. Anything worth doing takes time and effort, right? It's just like my swimming story. I was so afraid, oh, it's too hard. But even now, over 40 years later, the fact that I came third makes me all excited and happy. I've had that sense of accomplishment so long because when you do something hard or difficult, that's when you have that sense of accomplishment. If you do something easy, anybody can do something easy. So this is a challenge and you have all this support. You're not the only one. There are all these other area directors. You can exchange notes. How do we do this? And Toastmasters gives you training for every single role. There is no role that they don't give you training. Even me as an international director, they have orientation. Do you know, as the member of the board, we have 3 duties. Duty of care, loyalty, and obedience. Duty of care, meaning the running of the organization. We need to make sure that we're doing everything right, thinking of the future, how to make sure the organization survives. Duty of care is no self-dealing. I shouldn't be there in the board of directors to make money for myself. I should be there to make sure the money is spent, a fiduciary responsibility for the benefit of the members. And duty of obedience is we follow all the laws. Because we are incorporated in the state of California, we have to follow all the laws of California and our governing documents. So that's what we do on the board of directors. And then, you go further up the chain. And if some of you are curious, how much do we all get paid? Well, I get paid one more zero than Lisa, that's what I get in my paycheck. We are all volunteers, but you know what? We believe in this. And the other best part about Toastmasters is we have core values in Toastmasters. And I just want to briefly touch on this. The core values of Toastmasters is something that we can use in everyday life. If I think about the first one, it's integrity. Because in Toastmasters, being a volunteer organization, and I told you with a staff of 125, if you send in your pathways completion and say, yes, I completed this path, they take your word for it. Nobody's checking. Oh, you did that? Okay, here you go. So, and if you're saying, why are you saying this out loud? It's in your best interest to do the path and get the credit. Because if you just sign some paper and send it in and we give you credit, you're just hurting yourself. You're not learning anything. So we need integrity. And if I think of my swimming story, sure, I was 15, but I kind of chickened out of swimming and I didn't keep my word. But these are values that is good in everyday life. The next thing is respect. I didn't really respect my mom's wishes. She wanted me, but it is so important in Toastmasters. All of us, and we are from 144 countries. There are people from all different backgrounds, all different opinions, all different thoughts. We have to learn to get along, to listen to each other. You may disagree, but just listen with an open mind. And that is really helpful. So we need respect in Toastmasters and excellence. Excellence means doing your best. And every day you keep doing your best, you're going to get better. That's what my mom wanted me to do. I didn't have to win any race. I just had to do my best. And I just chickened out. And of course, service, that doesn't apply to my swimming story, but in Toastmasters, this is the opportunity to serve. You have the tiniest of roles. You could just be an R counter in a club, to you could be, Lisa here running the whole district, or Patricia from coming all the way from Ireland to check upon her districts to make sure they're doing well, to serving on the board. There's so many opportunities. And what I learned is some of my friends at work who have no idea what Toastmasters, they're like, what? You're giving up your Saturday? You're driving all the way to Long Island? What are you doing? They don't realize this is helping me. Everybody listens to WIIFM radio, right? What's in it for me? Everybody, without exception, right? I am gaining from this experience. I am standing here in a new environment, new group of people. It's hybrid. I'm not really used to hybrid, trying to make sure I make eye contact now once in a while with the camera, with the people, right? These are all skills we're learning. So it's a win-win. I'm gaining from this. I hope you're gaining something from this, that I gave you the background about Toastmasters and how we got here. So this is all for our benefit in Toastmasters. And finally, I know I started with, what would you do if you were in my shoes? I would like to conclude by asking you, what will you do? Because here now, you're in Toastmasters. We have so many opportunities. As many people have said, it's a very safe place. You learn so many skills that you can use in your everyday life. And if I think of my own swimming story, I was so afraid that I was not, and everybody's like this. We're not good enough. We're not fast enough. We're not skilled enough. We're very afraid. But I'll tell you this, it's very unlikely that you're going to look back on your life and regret that you tried and failed. You're more likely to look back and regret that you never even tried. So my fellow Toastmasters, if you reach, you can achieve. I was lucky I had my mother who forced me to reach and go back to that swimming pool and try. And I managed. And even now, like I said, over 40 years later, makes me feel so happy that I did that. So you are in this wonderful place here in Toastmasters. You have all the opportunities available to you. The foundation is your club. Please make sure your club is strong, because the skills you learn in your club, you can use anywhere else. If you're an area director, division director, district leader, region advisor, you're all focusing on making sure the club does well. Because if the club does well, the member does well. And that's all that we want in Toastmasters, helping each other, helping the member, skills that you can use in any aspect of your life. With that, does anyone have any questions for me?